Hey, what's up, peeps? How's everybody today? Thursday. Hot here in Pennsylvania, which is okay. It makes my arthritis feel pretty good. Uh, Cut the grass this morning in the AC. So, let's say hi to everybody, and I'll tell you why I'm here today. We won't be super long today, even though I could talk for hours about this subject. We'll keep it to 45 minutes to an hour. Just Deb, Honeybee, or here, hot and humid, and I guess that's New Hampshire. The humidity, we usually get whacked with humidity. It's humid, but we've had more humid days, but it's going to be 90 something today. Mommy Wolverine, Jinx. Jinx has become famous in Discord and other places. Always good to have Jinx. Get ready for our big Ruckus Fest, or Ruckus and Steve Fest. We got to come up with a name for that, Jinx, for your little picnic. The Ruckus and Steve Fest, or Turner and Hooch Tour America, something. Hybrid Places. I see her every day in the Discords too. Tech Death Hippie, what's up? Tech Death Hippie asked me a question this morning on one of my community posts, I think about Robert Ressler, who I'm going to talk about in a little bit, about the show Mindhunter, and they're not going to keep doing it because having a little slow internet here. Sorry. They're not going to keep doing it because the producer, the creator, I should say, is on to other stuff, unfortunately, because that was a tremendous series. If you haven't seen it, Mindhunter on Netflix. It's about how the behavior analysis unit started, how criminal profiling began. Dr. Burgess is involved, Robert Ressler, John Douglas. The characters are based on them. Hey, Yaya. Four Pits is in. Reg. All kind of Discord peeps. What's happening? Turner and Hooch, you like that? And I say that out of love because I love both of those guys. Deja Vu here. Another Discorder. Sporting her black and gold. Yeah, Dr. Ann Burgess hybrid is awesome. We'll talk a little bit about them. I'll share some more links and resources on my community page to it. So today's talk, not as much posed at Richard Allen, but I'm sure we're going to draw comparisons to it. But kind of talking about the profiling angle of the crime. And I felt like this before there was an arrest. And I'm very novice, as I say in my description here, very, very novice. People that you can watch today, John Kelly on YouTube, Pat Brown, the profiler, not the Delphi resident, Pat Brown. She's a woman, tremendous page. There's a lot of profile type stuff that you can do. Another thing I watch is the behavior panel. Babe, you can't reset that when I'm on here. I'm sorry. Oh, I thought Brooke was resetting the Wi-Fi code. And since me and her are both so old, we have to use our phones to see the code on the back of it because it's this big. Anyways, so that's where I come from on this. And people, we talk about like crime scene pictures and stuff. Remember, we have not seen any crime scene pictures like the profilers and the BAU have. So it's hard to guess, what's real, what's not real. There's some crazy theories. There's some things that seem to come up all the time that I'm going to talk about that I believe are true. But these people are doing their best. And a lot of what they put out, the people that I've seen on YouTube, because the FBI has never released the official profile, which is bizarre. The profile isn't for the public. It's for law enforcement. And it's for law enforcement to cross people off of their list, right, as they're interviewing them. And something that John Douglas said early in this investigation, or I was actually later, it was about 2-year mark. He said after about a year in the investigation, they should have had this person right away. Whoever this person was, and he didn't say he had a person of interest, this should have been done right away. So the criticism of police, here's where they fucked up the most, in my opinion. Once they saw this scene and knew this is out of our depth, and it's not just Delphi, Indiana. There's thousands of police departments across the country that they don't know what this shit is, right? This is, what is this? We don't understand any of it. The FBI should have been in on every single interview. Someone from the behavioral analysis unit should have been on every single interview. Reading between the lines what John Douglas said, and I want to misquote the great John Douglas here, but if they would have done that, they would have had this guy already, or this person, people. it was men. I don't believe it was any women were involved in the direct killing, but so that's where I come from on this. So the crime scene stuff, a lot of people want to see crime scene pictures. They might have a weird, morbid thing. They want to see it. But as people that are into the criminal psychology aspect and the criminal mind, you want to see that not because of the blood and the guts and the gore. You almost look through that. And just imagine these people that have done this for 30 years. You're looking through that. So you lose some of the human ability or the human being aspect of it to a certain extent while you're investigating that, but you can't get lost. At the end of the day, that's why these guys do what they do and these gals do what they do, is to get justice for that human being and that human being's family. But you're able to look through this stuff and see. So when you see a crime scene and people see these pictures and they fall back, people that are really into criminal psychology see a Rubik's Cube. Okay, everything was set like this. Why? Why was this like this? Why was this left like this? Why did he do this? And if you go back and you read, through the annals of serial killers and the data that they have compiled, there's always an explanation for it. There's always an explanation. Very rarely is stuff done haphazardly. We're talking series murders, serial killers, not just someone that breaks in and does a drug rip or something like that. Those type of things. A couple other things that we know about how bodies are left through the profiling. If the killer knows the person, and has an intimate relationship, not sexual, but any kind of intimate, like closeness with the person, they're going to cover the person up. They're going to try to hide the body. And some of that is for the dignity of the person that they killed. Despite us being as fucked up as they are, they have this, a little bit of something in them that says, I have to hide this body. Or they're doing it for themselves to try to get space and distance between them. Maybe this body will be found in a week or 2 weeks, but then I'll have my shit together and be able to talk to people or whatever the case. They found us out with the Lindbergh baby. When the Lindbergh baby was kidnapped, I don't know if many of you noticed, but the predominant thinking in the industry is the baby fell out of the window on the homemade ladder and died immediately. The baby wasn't hostage. They didn't, they kept sending letters to get money, but the baby probably died upon the kidnapping, during the kidnapping and the commission of it. The baby was left on the side of the road in its cloth. Back then, they didn't know what that meant. Oh, this is a sick person, especially sick person. What it was two immigrants that were scared shitless. They cocked up some scheme to create, we're going to get money off Lindbergh, we're going to take his baby and this and that. And in a long story short, Lindbergh's actually related to me many generations down the line, as my grandpa's family was all Swedes. So despite it being hot and me being Swedish, I enjoy the heat now. I didn't used to. But anyways, so those are things we look at. When a victim has facial wounds, stabbed in the face, punched in the face, that also usually, not always, denotes a personal relationship with the person. Okay, a personal relationship with the person. So what we have here in Delphi, and this is what I worked up, months ago, before the Richard Allen thing. Then you look and you compare. Excuse me, John Kelly has some really, really good analysis of this that led up to the arrest of Richard Allen. And then you could put stuff in with Richard Allen. John Kelly said he was going to be an engineering type, working with his hands, creating things, type of stuff like that. Not necessarily, I should have said that the right way. He wasn't nailing carpentry together, but he was creating things. He was engineering things and doing things like that. But I've shared a couple of his things. Sub his channel. He has a Delphi playlist. Very interesting. He has a lot of retired police there. While we're talking about police, real quick, before I get into this. So you have the guy that's in Westville that continues to write letters, right? And let me make sure I have his name right, because it just slipped my mind here. Bastian, Paul Bastian, Robert Paul Bastian. Robert Paul Bastian has written several letters about all kind of shit. He wanted to be released during 2020 because a convicted pedophile, was going to help stop Corona. Okay, so that's fine. Just remember, okay, if you're looking so deeply for your narrative to fit or your guy to fit, and my guy who had originally on is not the killer, I was very far from. I'm glad I never said it out loud. I know I was wrong, and that's, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But you're going to take the word of this guy. Read what he did. Just read what he did to a 6-year-old girl. Read what he did. You read what he did to her, and then you say, okay, I could take this word over all these law enforcement people. Now, it's Carroll County. So law enforcement is a little bit fucked up out there, right? Just a little bit. So I can understand why people question it, but just understand that you are taking the word, read what this person did. And it doesn't mean he's a liar. Let me tell you something. This guy is a sick son of a bitch. He's a person that should never, ever get out of jail because we know people like him don't change. They don't change ever. Read what he did. And then you tell me you believe him over all these people. Is the warden at Westville Prison Leo Glenn from Oz? No, he's not, right? He's maybe a little bit of a country bumpkin, maybe. Yeah, it's my way or the highway, boy. You know, maybe that type. I don't know. But you're taking the word over this person over all their stuff, okay? And he writes many letters as he wants to write, right? As many letters as he wants to write. If he ever does get out, I'd like to publicly offer him a quad ride with me because he likes to take 6-year-old girls on quad rides. I'd love to take Robert Paul Bastian on a quad ride. And even if I'm 70 years old and I'm still kicking, when he finally gets out of the clink, I'd be willing to take him on a quad ride. Great things I could show him, Robert Paul Bastian. So just keep that in mind when this guy said this guy said all kind of shit, but read what kind of person he is first. Doesn't mean he's automatically a liar, right? But anything that comes out of his mouth, I'm just not going to believe. I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to hear anything you say. Go away. Go away and just shut the fuck up and go the fuck away. All due respect to a sick fuck like that. Any respect that he should be able to get, which isn't a lot. You read it. You make your own decision on it. I just wanted to bring everyone's knowledge. I see people taking that and running because they don't think that Richard Allen did it. I didn't think Richard Allen did it either. For a long time, I thought there was multiple people involved in the murder itself. I don't anymore. Let me tell you I'll tell you at the end what I think actually happened here, but let's get more into this. So again, it's the criminal psychology, the mental angle. A couple quotes I shared. Wrestler has one, and it goes back to Friedrich Nietzsche. You know, those who fight monsters have to be aware not to become one themselves. You have to get in these people's heads and you have to think like them. You have to. And that's scary shit and that's some crazy shit, but you have to. These guys, at the end of this, John Douglas talks about at the end of his career, he could not help but walk down the street and every person he saw, profile. He couldn't turn it off, you understand? So he had this great gift, but it was a great peril to himself. He went through the issue. On Mindhunters was a little different. He wasn't hugging Ed Kemper. That didn't happen, but he had some kind of crazy viral thing where he did almost die. So I see I'm going to catch up on the chat a little bit. I see a lot of people are talking, which is awesome. If anyone has ever seen an FBI profile for Delphi, I would love to, or anything you got on it. And listen, a lot of creators are arguing right now and going back and forth, man. And at the end of the day, not all of them, but I love a lot of the guys, and people are saying the guys and girls, this one and that one. I could speak highly of my friends. I know they're good people. But at the end of the day, if this thing gets adjudicated and the right person goes away, the preponderance of evidence we have to look at. So you could be screaming to high hell, there was this guy, was this guy, was this guy. Now it's not that guy. And it doesn't mean that you have to keep fighting for your person. Follow the evidence. And if you want me to join your way of thinking, show me what you're thinking. Don't just tell me it was him. Where are you getting it from? Maybe you'll change my mind. I like when people challenge me. I like when there's good debate. General Patton has a saying that if everybody's thinking the same way, then no one's thinking. He said that about his commanders. He liked a little bit of, we respect each other. If you listen to that chat, the documentary released the tapes where all the reporters were talking, Doug Rice is a passionate dude. He's going back and forth, and no one seems to be like getting pissed at each other. They're exchanging ideas. So that's really good stuff, I think. Okay, yeah, Dr. Ann Burgess, we talked about her. She was the woman in Mindhunter. I think her name was Wendy Carr is the character. Fantastic doctor. Yeah, Reg Dunlop, you are not wrong. And I don't know if I shared it in the Discord I'm in with you. I'm in a couple. But Jim Clemente, the former FBI profiler, I love him. He's like John Douglas 2.0. Jim Clemente is basically the producer. I don't know if he's a producer, but he's like the head writer for Criminal Minds. If you watch Criminal Minds, believe it or not, I'm not into that show that much. That's odd, isn't it? But I'm not. There's a few things that are different but he won't talk about it. I think that I know from reading FBI manuals and stuff that they don't do. One of them, he admits, is they don't pick every case. They get, you guys, you're on this. You know, you take this. It isn't like they're reviewing 3 or 4 different things. But he confirmed that they were. Doug Carter was speaking to a profile, according to Jim Clemente. He said, "I noticed for a fact he was speaking to a profile, and he believes that everything was written was very carefully scripted. The Shaq comment came from the BAU. It did not come from Doug Carter, according to Jim Clemente, who I'm a huge fan of. So I've shared that on my community page. It's called Worst of the Worst, or Best Case, Worst Case. It's on Spotify. He has a podcast if anybody wants to listen to him. Just Deb, I agree with you, and I agree with John Douglas. This case would have went down within probably a few days if the FBI was in charge of everything. And the FBI isn't all-knowing, and especially the Indiana FBI, because they had some dark days there. But when these people take over, it's on. You know, they're going to get these people because they know, they have an idea. Yeah, it was bizarre. Now, you talk about the FBI and pumping up the FBI. I have a big problem with the FBI search warrant for Ron Logan's property. One of the biggest things, this is the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. If you read the search warrant, it says about 1 o'clock, the girls were taken to the Mears lot. Or I don't know if it says Mears lot. It might say Highbridge Trail. 1 o'clock, about 1 o'clock, around 1 o'clock. We know it was 1:49. This is the FBI. These are some tight-ass individuals. They're precise. So I heard Ruckus talking about a boilerplate warrant, which you have the basic gist of everything, and you just fill in a narrative. We have fire reports. That's kind of how we fill our fire reports out. The computer figures it out for you. You put your narrative in, and it knows you're going to want this here, and you type in the X's and O's and the Y's and Z's, and everything else is kind of set up. But around 1 o'clock, read that warrant. They're fucking an hour off. Like, it's bizarre. And it's the FBI. I don't think Logan did. I don't think Logan had anything to do with it. Now, the killing for sure. Nothing. And we know now with Ron Logan, as I want to talk more about psychology, but I just need to say this. Fig Soft had a great video where he shared the document. Ron Logan asked for an alibi from noon to 5 o'clock. Or 5:30. I think it was 5 o'clock. He did ask his cousin, David Nolf, who was the guy who lied initially to police and then gave it up, to say that he was with him from that time. So Ron Logan did ask for an alibi to drive to the transfer station. That's out now. I encourage you to go to Fig Solves channel and see that document. But let's get back to like the psychology of this whole situation here. I'll get you a couple more questions. I'm excited about talking about this. Yeah, the FBI basically does that. Now there's things that they can come in on, and they kidnap the Lindbergh baby kidnapping. That made anything interstate kidnapping, and a lot of other interstate stuff followed. So that's how the FBI was actually able to get in on a lot of these cases. The Lindbergh case was one of the ones that started that. But at the end of the day, yeah, they're going to have to ask pretty much if there's help needed, unless the FBI or someone could pour some kind of corruption or something like that and say, hey, we need to take this investigation over. But they should have took it over from the door. And same with Florida too. Should have been taken over. People were out of depth. They knew it was bullshit going on. Flush it out, right? The local guys can't do it. They're too close to these people. That could be what went on with Delphi and why it took so long. I don't know. That's a guesstimate. Obviously, go blue. You know I love my Wolverines. Yeah, you're right, Reg. I think that's basically what I just said. Yeah, so they do. They do. It's unfortunate. Maybe it's unfortunate. Maybe it isn't. No, the public search. Listen, I understand that people want to do things and they want to help. I ask guys in my department that are older. We have one guy that's been here for 40 years. Do you ever have a public search? No, we never asked the public to help. We call multiple departments. People were briefed. You know what to do. You know what not to do. So yeah, I think the public search, it shows you it's like a little like country, old school type. Hey, let's get out and help find these kids. They thought that the kids were just missing or hiding out or just staying away or whatever. Initially is what the police thought. So maybe that's why they thought that. But at the end of the day, unless you have police all over that trail, you're not going to stop the public from coming out there and searching if they want to. But you have to establish a perimeter. And none of that really happened initially. And it was like kind of like overnight happened. And then they panicked. Like, we fucked up. We sent the dogs back. And they did. The dogs came Saturday. Yeah, I don't know the federal thing if something happens there. It's not I don't think it's an official like national park or something like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, Delphi Police, Carroll County. Yeah, they do a lot. It's unbelievable. John Douglas, one of the things he did during the Atlanta child killings, where they arrested Wayne Williams, who, by the way, never went to jail for killing anyone under the age of 18, right? He didn't kill all those kids. Did he help get some of them? Yeah, something was happening. There was a ring down there. But he predicted in a week he would feign some illness in court. And don't you know, a week to the day, they sent John Douglas back. He was coming back to Quantico. He gets to the airport and he's like, you got to go back to Atlanta. What happened? Wayne Williams faked a heart attack in court today. So it's amazing. They're not always right, but they're using past principles. They've taken past principles and are adapting them to today. Yeah, it's tough with the murder or the, well, I'm not monetized, so I guess I could still say that. It's odd what you have to say. Another Swede in the crowd, very good. But let me get to where hey Shane, let me get to where I want to talk about a little bit more. Yeah, Westview, or that prison, it definitely has issues, right? I listen, I give that to you. I'm just not taking that Bastian's word for it, right? And they are probably catcalling Richard Allen. That's what happens in prison when you are accused or kill little kids. But I'll get to my opinion on it, but not to really matter. So the killer, the person that did this homicide, it's a lust killing, definitely sexually motivated. We don't know if there was SA or not. Some people say there wasn't. We don't know that, but this was motivated by that. You need to understand that the act of plunging a knife, the act of unaliving somebody, that can actually give these sick bastards, that's how they get off. That gives them sexual release. That'll give them sexual release for months or years to come, whatever their cooling off period is. Okay. So you have you certainly have, in my opinion, an organized killer. An organized killer brought his weapons with him. He knew what he was going to do. Did he have a place he wanted to take them? Did they run across the creek? I can't imagine he wanted them to get across there. And I just don't understand that as a killer. You're going to want to cross the creek in that condition, in that water, in that cold for that period of time to get across and across the steep banks. They were pulled into a bowl-shaped area. The crazy people that run down the street with a knife in their hand, naked, covered in blood, screaming, I didn't do it, or I did it, or whatever. This person, this individual that did this murder, Richard Allen or not, staged the scene per the FBI. And let's talk about the difference between staging and posing. Staging is something you do to the scene to mislead the investigators. This was a domestic situation. This wasn't a robbery, or whatever the case may be. That's what that is. Posing is done for the killer's gratification, for him getting off. That is something that's a signature. It doesn't have to happen to unalive someone or to take someone out. It's something that they do. Jack the Ripper would leave notes. He would, do what he would do, just slicing people open. Ramirez would put signs on the wall. He'd drink people's milk out of the fridge and puke on the floor and do all kind of weird shit like that. That's all signature. That doesn't have to be a part of it in order to do what they're there to do. Modus operandi, is part of that. So do they like to strangle people? Do they like to use personal weapons or knives, things that are up close? Do they have a God complex? Are they snipers? Do they kill from afar? That's all MOs, just so everyone understands the differences in that. Posing, staging. In the Ron Logan document, it says staging. And then it says that they took mementos. A person staging an incident, solely staging an incident to make it look like something else, I don't think is going to take a memento or a trophy. That's what lust killers do. That's what series or serial killers do. They take mementos. And those mementos that they take are licenses, earrings, things like that. I watched the live last night. Dr. B was on with Dr. Ann Burgess, and they were talking about Delphi. I'll share it on my page. It's a really, really good interview. And Dr. B says, I never heard of anyone taking underwear as a trophy from a person that they had unalived. And Dr. Burgess says, it happens. More so it happens to people that are alive. They breaking and entering, steal your underwear, and do whatever the hell they do with it when they get home. And now we know that breaking and entering is a precursor to sexual assaults or SAs. It is. When there's these rash of burglaries, it happened to so many different people, and then boom, there's girls turn up missing or dead. And we know that now. We learned that from all this criminal mind stuff that we're talking here. So he's definitely an organized guy. He brought his weapons with him. Sleuth just had a good live on his kill kit. That's what I believe he had. Based on that is what I believe the Bowie knife was the big thing, not the sword, the katana sword. Could the katana sword they took from Allen's home, could that have been? Yeah, that could have been that. But we're getting more into Richard Allen, staying away from the profile thing. It's hard to do, I know, but the bodies. Now, we don't know for sure how the bodies were arranged. None of us have seen pictures of the crimes. We only know what kind of we've been told. Very early on in this case, I think something that hardly anyone else thinks. I think that Abby was the target. I don't think that Libby was the target. And there's a couple of different reasons why. And again, we don't know anything from law enforcement, so it is conjecture to a certain point. But this has been kind of put out on a lot of different platforms from a lot of different people, whether we want to talk leak text or whatever you want to say, right? So I'm fairly confident that this was kind of the arrangement of the scene. So the scene was posed / staged. The staging of the scene, you could consider the staging of the scene disrupting of the ground, turning leaves over. If blood droplets were found underneath the leaves instead of on top, did someone spray some kind of spray foam or a toilet bowl type cleaner? That could be a scene, that could be staging because you're destroying evidence. But let's talk about the posing. So, and again, this is conjecture, but from what I can tell is best, one of the girls was really, really brutalized, brutally, like really, really bad. And a lot was taken out on her, and a lot of people have different theories about why that is. She was the stronger of the girls. She would have stood up for a friend. All those things are true, and they're probably true. But the way that the other girl was posed, that would be posing. If it's true, put up, hands folded. You know, the term was used like a baby doll. Maybe that's where the baby doll rumors came from. Everything in Delphi is kind of like there's a little bit of truth, and then people go wild with it. Maybe that's where that came from. But after really researching that and trying to understand what a site where a killer has two victims, one's treated one way and one's treated another way, to me, and I'm very novice at this, the person who was treated with all the quote unquote respect is the target. The person that was just brutalized was in the way. You were in his way from achieving what he wanted to do. He had this fantasy set up for months, probably years. It might have not have been those two girls, but he wanted to do this. He fantasized about this. People that do this at a scene fantasize about this, right? It's just how it is. This is just what we know from the great people that have done this. So that's a theory that I have. At the end of the day, if we find this out, that was it. We know, breaking from that to Richard Allen, we know that Richard Allen had a relationship with Abby's mother because Abby worked at the bar. By relationship, I just mean, hey, how you doing? I don't mean there was anything going on. I don't know of any of that. I haven't seen any of that. I'm not projecting any of that. But he drank at that bar and she worked there. He had to see pictures of her daughter. He had to know about her. He might have seen her. Then there's a lot of stories floating around. She had a bad experience. Something was said or something. We don't know any of that. That's all conjecture. That's my opinion. As soon as I read that, I thought, wow, this person was in the way of his fantasy. So that's why this person was treated and left the way that they were left. Degrading. A 14-year-old girl. So if Allen's the guy, whoever the killer is a sick fucking human being. There's no question. This person will not ever be rehabilitated. And I think it's a lone wolf. I didn't know if Richard Allen, guilty or not, let's set him aside. I think it's a lone wolf. I think that the Keegan-Klein ties are too close. Something's going on. I think, and I theorize that Keegan-Klein was getting girls, catfishing them, and then selling IDs or passwords to that account, handing over either a burner phone or account. Say, hey, listen, you get a burner phone. Here's the account to get in. If you want to change it after this, you change it. These girls think you're blah, 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 blah. You could exchange pictures. You could send them money, whatever was going on, not just with Libby and Abby, but whatever was going on with other stuff, right? because they did launch the biggest CSAM investigation ever in the state of Indiana off Klein's phone. You can't tell me that they're not tied in. I don't think Keegan Klein was there. I don't think he was at the scene. I don't think he had anything to necessarily. He might not even have known about what was going to happen. I think Richard Allen, looking at now, this lines up with me. We'll jump back into Richard Allen. Looking at his phone explains to me that with the witness statements to say this guy was walking, staring at his phone. And in 2017, these are teenagers, and that was 6 years ago. But could they identify an old flip phone? Right? Could they identify that? There's another theory I have. The 2 Motorola flip phones. There was 13 phones found in his house. There was 2 Motorola flip phones with chargers. They were in a woven basket with paper wrapped around it in a place of prominence. By place of prominence, I mean your bedroom. Think about stuff you put in your bedroom. Think about the pictures that you have in your bedroom, the things you have on your wall. Those are some of your most prized possessions. Right? You want to wake up and see pictures of grandma, grandpa, Uncle Lou, whoever the hell else you know what I mean? That's a place of prominence. There was a junk drawer and there was like a bunch of phones and chargers, but these 2 phones were by themselves. These 2 phones were by themselves. To me, that's very telling. And maybe I'm jumping a bridge here, but that's what I think. That's a place of prominence. That jumped out to me right away when I looked at that. But again, going back to the way that the bodies are, we don't know for sure. We haven't seen pictures. I don't need to see pictures necessarily now that they have a guy, if it's the guy that did it. But again, when someone like me that's into the criminal psychology, when you see pictures and you look at pictures, you don't necessarily get grossed out. And in a way, it's you almost dehumanize the victim for a few seconds to be able to read that puzzle. And then you step back and take the puzzle pieces. And now you say, wow, that person did that to a live human being. We have to get this person. We have to stop them. We have to understand how they got so fucked up in the head so we can maybe prevent something from happening in the future or catching them faster. Okay. So that's a lot that I just laid out there. Some might agree, some might not agree. And the one other thing is, and I mentioned this with Wayne Williams too, I think Richard Allen's totally faking. I look at some details on him from the pictures that even his lawyer sent, and it doesn't say crazy to me. It doesn't say he's losing it. He may be declining. He may be depressed because he sees what's going on. Whatever the confessions were, I'd like to see what they say. Maybe we'll see, and maybe we won't. The defense never rebutted the confessions. So is this a whole thing where maybe he got some discovery evidence, and he says, well, this is what I have to do? If it's the kind of killer that I think it is, and whether it's him or not, it doesn't matter. But if it is him, he's the sociopathic killer. He doesn't have feelings. He doesn't care. He just doesn't care. So he could quickly go into this mode and do this or that. So I get where people say he's in a bad prison and he could be getting screwed over and treated unfairly. I understand that. You have a valid point because that place doesn't have the best reputation. And at the end of the day, put the dude up in a goddamn hotel with 10 FBI guys around it, if you have to, till this is done. Then he goes away forever. If he's convicted, if he's the guy, then he goes away. We don't want to see you ever again. You go over there and you live in that fucking room and you shut the fuck up. When you die, we'll bring you out, burn you, and spread you across a fucking waste plant because that's where you belong. If he's the guy that did it. I believe he is. Just too much that I've seen. The stuff that they take from his house. Let's talk real quick about, I know this isn't part of the thing. The first person to say this about the search warrant that I saw was my man, Ruckus. He was able to pick it out and said, he theorized, and I don't want to put words in Ruckus's mouth, that maybe initially they let them search. And then throughout the search, they said, hold on a second. We don't want you to search anymore. So it got the warrant later. Ruckus thinks there's 2 different warrants. Based on that, Ruckus thinks there's 2 different warrants. I think that one of those warrants, the second warrant or the third, however many there are for those phones. I theorized that all the documentation and all discovery is so heavily, only these people could see it. The defense can only make 1 copy. Only the people involved in the case are allowed to view this. I thought initially that was CSAM. Rick Snay has put out a post saying that his sources are saying that they did find CSAM there. I don't have any sources. That was just a conjecture or a guess. Because if you read those 15 things about the evidence in the discovery, and it's like 81 kilobytes big, because everything's so hard to read. You got to open it to see what it is. I think it's 81 kilobytes big. But you read that and you tell me that that's not something that no one could see, but you have to view it as evidence. No one should see that shit, right? But these people have to see it. Unfortunately, they have to see it. And I believe that's what it is. That links them to, in my opinion, that links them to Klein. I don't think that Richard Allen, the person, is able to sweet talk these young girls or talk hip like Keegan Klein maybe can. That's just that. Again, that's my opinion. I'm kind of bleeding over into Allen off of my profile a little bit. But something else I wanted to tell you, John Douglas always brought this up, and I've heard a couple other profilers talk about it recently. Psychopath. So you have basically a psycho versus a sociopath, right? And I'm going to read you the traits of both, and I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, who's much more scary. Sociopath traits: breaking the law, physical aggression, manipulation of others for personal gain, anger, hostility, unpredictable mood swings, impulsive behaviors, chaotic and dramatic, exploration for other people or exploitation of other people, irresponsibility, unreliable in relationships. That's a sociopath. This is a psychopath, feeling few, if any, emotions, sadism, pleasure from causing pain to others, lack of care for others, pathological lying, charming personality, lack of fear, risk-taking behavior, inability to love, no remorse for wrongdoing, poor judgment, lack of goals, use relationships purely for gain. The psychopath in the end is more, you think would be a more scary person because they're going to do some wild shit. They don't care about anybody. The sociopath to me is more scary because they can mimic behaviors of regular human beings. They can act like they care, but they don't. Those are the people that hide in plain sight. Those are the people that are, the gone rogue police officers, or your local T-ball coach, or these guys that work with children, or priests. Those are sociopaths. Not all priests, but the ones that do stuff to little boys. The psychopaths, you're a little easier to tell, and not always, but sociopaths always, usually I should say, kind of end on organized as opposed to disorganized killers. So I hope I kind of you understand that. But these the profilers, that's a big thing for them. They want you to know the difference. So I'm telling it to you, and I hope I gave you a decent definition. Yeah, just a quad ride. We just need a quad ride. If he ever gets out, hopefully they never let him out. Yeah, thinks they're more. I did for a long time, but I also predict that at some point, if Richard Allen's the guy, he went back to that spot. He had to have. He had to have gone back to that spot or appeared at it across the creek. It's too close to his house not to go back there and relive what he did, if he's the guy. And I believe he is that did it. What do these guys do? Well, Son of Sam used to talk about going and laying. So he would shoot girls. He likes girls in the past. He was always on a sidewalk, passenger side, walk up, boom. He had a problem with women, obviously, whatever it was. We know he's not psychotic. We know his dog didn't talk to him. We know he made that shit up. John Douglas. He said that to John Douglas. A lot of people still think that, that guy's dog. No, he didn't do that. He was like a sexually frustrated, whatever. He was crazy as all get out, but whatever. He'd go back to the scene wherever he killed these people, and he'd roll around in the grass and in the bushes, and he would take care of himself. So I predict that at some point, if Allen's the guy and he lived, how that close, he went back there. I wonder if there's trail cam evidence of that, if this goes to trial, if we can find that. There's more trail cam evidence. There has to be. We know a little bit more. There was the two brothers that were there. One was seen on a 10-speed. One was seen, by Derek German. So there has to be more trail cam evidence. I wonder if the killer was on that. And I wonder if the days after, if they asked those people to keep those trail cams going, and let's see who comes and goes. Although you thought if they would have caught someone on trail cam, they would have tried to identify him right away, and maybe we would have been to Richard Allen way sooner, right? Maybe I'm wrong on that. But I think at some point he would have went back there or got near there. And that these guys do that. Ted Bundy was a necrophiliac. He would go back as long as he could and do what he would do with those corpses. And you talk about power. That person even controls your corpse in death. You're gone and you're not here, and he's still in control of you. Someone took power away from these people, usually at a very young age. Some kind of trauma happened to them. No one fixed it. Rage built up, and now they're exacting their power on anyone that they can. So, anyways, we talk criminally insane. I'm just going through, make sure I got all my notes here. I did a cool live with Silky Southern Tea the other day. I have some notes from this here. Yeah. So, yeah, the FBI warrant. I read that again. I know it's been a while, probably since a lot of you read the Ron Logan warrant, but about 1 p.m. It's very general. Like, I don't get it. Clearly, the FBI thought Logan did it early. Why? I don't know. Or did he know who did it and just didn't say? Maybe if the FBI was able to get there and lean on him, he'd be able to tell them something. Or maybe he would give it up. I don't think he did. And there's people that think he's involved. He's a bridge guy. I read quite a bit, and I haven't been able to substantiate this, but I read quite a bit. The ex-girlfriend, some of them, even though he had issues with them, one stayed with him, an ex-wife. I think she was an ex-wife when he passed away from COVID in 2022. She was with him, actually took care of him. There were statements made by them that, oh, he won't even cross that bridge anymore. I wonder if anyone has any information on that you could send me, because I'd be very interested to see that, to kind of put the Ron Logan as bridge guy thing to sleep. I don't think he is, but I don't have definitive proof of that either. So I'm not going to say here and say, oh, ha, ha. Let's get some chat in here, guys, and we're going to get out of here in the next few minutes. Let you get on with your Thursday. Reg would hug Ed Kemper. Ed Kemper was a giant individual. Whoops, I lit up the wrong thing there. Sorry. Hey, Kennedy, see you're in here. That'd be a heck of a hug from him. There's a guy that turned himself in. They might never have caught him. But on all accounts, he likes jail and he likes helping people in jail. Bossy, yes. John Kelly, I can't talk John Kelly up enough. He's been doing videos on Delphi for years. Other videos too. There's apparently an Austin serial killer, an active Austin, Texas serial killer. If anybody is into that stuff that's going on. Yeah, the psyche behind everything is what really brought me into all this. I feel certain of that, Reg, but if other people have, hey, show me some different evidence. But I think police could have handled this case so much better, public information-wise. Why weren't you giving the profile out? Why weren't you telling us what exactly kind of car it was? Oh, he could be. He might not even be on purpose. But you know what, Yaya? If he's a good friend of yours, he's probably looking out for you too. So if you're bringing a guy home and he says he don't like him, listen to him. Yeah, hybrid. I had one that I was kind of always on. Then I had like two other ones that no one ever talked about. I actually sent pictures to a couple friends I have here on YouTube and asked them if they could confirm what these pictures were. And I says, I know I'm in a hole, but I like the investigative method. You try to rule out your theory first. Thank you, Jinx. Yeah, I did a lot of stuff on past people. I would do individuals. I did I didn't do Son of Sam. I did Berkowitz. I did Richard Ramirez. Quite a few. We really got into it. I had a good Manson one. I'd like to do Manson again. Reg is never wrong. And he has a man crush on Hotch. Well, hey, I'm not gay, but if I was, I had friends tell me that before. Well, hey, whatever. It's 2023. But I get what you're saying about Hotchner. Yeah, Reg, the other Clemente too. And it's funny because they look nothing. And them two had to beat shit out of each other growing up, right? They were so different, but they are both really, really awesome. Hybrid saying Jim Clemente. Yeah, Jim Clemente. It's called Best Case, Worst Case. It's a podcast. I listen to it on Spotify. The Delphi episode is episode 122. Best Case, Worst Case. Delphi episode's 122. The episodes are like 30 to 50 minutes long. They're not super long, and they're really good. Yeah, FBI has certainly had some issues. I agree with you there. But at the end of the day, I think I'd rather have some of those actual agents that came out, not the people on top that were screwing everything up. 138. I think then 149, isn't that the PCA? I could be wrong. But again, Mommy Wolverine, if you go back and you read the Ron Logan word, it says about 1 o'clock. About 1 o'clock. What time are you going to meet me at the bar? I don't know, about 1 o'clock. Right? That's okay. I come in 30 minutes early, 30 minutes late, about 1 o'clock. Not in a search warrant for an FBI agent. Read it. It says about 1 o'clock. About 1 o'clock. Yeah, the motive to me, my motive, and again, this is just me, theorizing. The motive was lust, and the target was Abby. That's what I think. He had some God, I don't even know how to put it in words. He had some sick, just some sick thing take him over, and it probably had for years. And that's my opinion. I could be way off. And if I'm way off, and he pleads guilty, or he goes to court and gets tried and convicted, then I'll gladly be way off. But that's what I just and it's not popular, but I just think that it's. And again, it's conjecture because no one's seen pictures or knows exactly how that scene was laid out, and I can't imagine the people that worked that scene. Some of these guys, we've been rough on some of these detectives, and they have made bumbles, but man, they had to take that home at night. Yeah, and you know what? For Pitts, anyone that says there's multiple people involved, I don't disagree. I mean, I would disagree, but I understand where you're coming from. Like, I totally see it. I think when Carter says tentacles, I think the octopus is the murders of the girls, and the tentacles are the CSAM. Does that make sense to you? We got this horrible crime, and out of this horrible crime, we got the person that did it, and we have everything that led us kind of to this. The tip narrative thing, I don't know. I don't know. That doesn't sound right. Search warrant was early on. Yeah, but you know what else that says? Let's go back to that. That tells me then too that they probably didn't see the Hoosier Harvest Store video yet. How can that be, right? How could no one have checked to see if these places had a video? Or if they did, they would have known, they didn't know Allen, but they had Kelsey going past there. They had the witnesses' times where they were there. I'm pretty sure they had Kelsey on that coming past. I could be misspeaking on that, but I think she was on her. But the witnesses are on there. They see them, and these witnesses that come forward by then. This wasn't Muddy Bloody. This was the witnesses on the trails. Was that his middle name, Eugene? Hey, listen, no one's perfect. Ron Logan had a booze problem, and he was in the service. We don't know what he saw. We don't know what he encountered in his life. Royal Order of Gestures. I will check them out, Jinx. There's a lot of stuff going on there. I don't know if Frosty's in the chat. I have a good joke. I don't know if Frosty's in the chat, but I got to ask Frosty if he's a Mason. I have reason to believe Thomas Frost is a Mason, and here's my reasoning. Have you watched the video of him and Meow playing basketball? He lays a ton of bricks. A ton of bricks. I hope everyone gets the joke. I really don't think Frosty's part of a secret society that may or may not run part of the world or the country. I don't know if they do or not. That's a joke. It's a basketball joke. When you shoot shots and they're not like they kind of hitting off the rim hard, oh man, you're throwing up bricks. Oh, Kennedy, what do you got? Toad wanted the title man in charge. I could see that. I could see that. Like you're it's kind of your domain, and you're kind of like, you're like a lion. A lion goes out and pisses, or whatever. This is my area. Maybe they thought that they had somebody too, but at the end of the day, you're a small department like that anywhere, not just in the. They're just not equipped for this. They're just not equipped for it. They're not. Paprika. Yeah, as far as the family, I don't see anyone in the family involved. I really don't. I understand law enforcement has to look at them first. Reg has a long cooling off period. I don't know if anyone had one that long before Reg. Could be. So here's let's talk about cooling off real fast, because I have a good analogy that I heard on one of these podcasts from a profiler. So a serial killer, right? When he's underneath that street lamp, he has all his power, all his juices are flowing. That's when you do the killing. When you're in that light of the street lamps, you're walking down a straight street, it's dark, and there's a street lamp every 50 feet. You have that brightness, you have that, these weird get-offs that these guys get. As you walk further down the street, you walk further into the darkness. When you hit the exact point between the middle of the two street lamps, you start building up again to another kill, because you can't contain yourself anymore. Then you get to the lightness, the bright of the street lamp, and you explode again. So basically the definition from the FBI is serial killing, and I'm going to surmise it, and I'll give it to you exact. I don't know if they're using 3 or 4 now. 3 or 4 murders done with a cooling off period, separate incidences. They're not going to happen at the same time, with some cooling off period, emotional cooling off period. And basically, they're able to put it together with the modus operandi or any signatures, but especially the modus operandi, because there could be copycats. Thanks for the subscribing. Jinx is awesome. Go to Honeybee, Meow, follow them. Big Fish, Small Pond, what's up? I'll do my best if anyone comes in on the Merc. Reg Dunlop, you must be around my age and from a similar socioeconomic background, I'm thinking, because we used to use that too. Guys got murked. Oh, hey, 2023, my friend. Hybrid says Merc the jerk. Yeah, Mini Katana. Now, maybe if Richard Allen's the guy, and maybe if that's what he wanted to use or whatever, because there was all these different crazy things. I actually heard Katana mentioned during the river search. So who knows? But could you carry it? Did anyone know? Could you carry that in your leg somehow, in your pants? I've never carried a sword before, so I don't know. Yeah, follow 4 Pits. Tech Death Hippie has some awesome stuff too. All the links are here in the chat. Thank you, Jinx. Let's see if anyone has any questions. Whoa, wait a minute. We disappeared here. Hold on. Frank is here. What's up, Frank the Tank? Frank gets the documents before everyone else does. Don't know how, don't care. Just happy that he shares them with me. We popped up here. Trying to get there. Hold on a second. Okay, someone had a good question. Bossy, yes, that is another theory that people are putting up. If Libby was the target, like mad at her because, hey, what's this other blah 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 doing here? And I know that a lot, it's just a kind of common taken that Abby didn't have a phone, and maybe she did, maybe she didn't. I don't know. I don't know if she didn't have a phone. I know she had other devices, but it's not that part of it that leads me to that. It's the way that things were left and the way I believe things were left. And it's just like everything that I've read and I know that tells me that maybe I'm off. Maybe, Pat Brown or the profiler or Kelly will talk about this. And I don't know if he actually has talked. I don't think he's talked about the actual conditions of the bodies or the scene, so to speak. And it's hard to find past killers that have had 2 victims and treated them so differently. She might have at some point, but she definitely worked at JC's bar. I was able to confirm that with a local. I don't know how long she worked there for, but yeah, she knew Richard and Kathy Allen. I don't know how close they were. Could have just been bartender, patron relationship. Sometimes they get close. Sometimes it's, hey, how you doing? But they were in there quite often playing pool, and that was like the local hangout for them. That's all. Those things are all possible too. Absolutely, they are. They absolutely are. And I know people, people, hey, maybe he hit, Abby and about knocked her out. Libby came back to help. Those things are all possible. I think that Libby did some kind of helping out or trying to stop it. Again, you go back and there's the FBI search warrant, no struggle. I don't know. I just don't see it. And I have reason to believe, and I don't know for sure, but reason to believe that most of the injuries weren't post-mortem. They were before death. There could have been things that happened post-mortem for sure. But again, we don't know any of that. And it's just kind of like, you hear this, you hear that. And it's tough to disseminate. Yeah, you could be right. You absolutely could be right. But this case is just so wild and so crazy. Yeah, Deb, we don't know. We need to see those transcripts, or hear it, whatever it is, before we can really be sure. The more confessions, the more worse it looks, obviously, for him. I mean, he can't keep saying it, but what did he actually say? And I hear other people saying, well, he didn't, he put wrong details in. And I don't get mad. I said, hey, if you got the transcript, you email them to me. I won't give them out if you don't want me. I just want to, and they never comment back. Yeah, I don't know. For Richard Allen, man, put him in a goddamn island somewhere for a couple months. That could be a call when no one's near him. He's safe. Let his attorneys, get whatever it is. Just make sure you do it right. Just make sure you do it right. Jinx, I believe that Richard Allen will plead. I think he'll plead out. I think they'll take the death penalty off the table. It'll be like a life imprisonment thing. If the prosecution thinks there's more people involved, what they're going to say is, listen, in order to accept your plea, you got to give us everyone else. You got to give us everyone else. That's what they should do, right? I don't know. Again, the Klein thing, it's too many coincidences with court, the paperwork's line up. Unless whoever's releasing the documents at Carroll County has a sick sense of humor, I'm going to publish this Richard Allen and the King Klein thing the next day. Just Deb, I don't know. I think Richard Allen as a guy would be the type to sing, but maybe not. Maybe he is this monster sociopath. I don't know. Honeybees, mental breakdown. Yeah, well, it's all conjecture right now. I just don't see it. And one of the things in the pictures, this is what tips me off, whether it makes sense to you or not. Fingernails, manicured beard. I don't think you're going to cut your nails. You're not going to have scratches on your hands. You're going to have scratches on your face. I didn't see any of that. And that's one picture. And that's me, a very novice at this. But that's just my 2 cents. It's very hard to swallow hybrid, but it goes to show you that especially early, law enforcement screwed the pooch here. They fucked up royally. And they should come out and be men and women of law enforcement and say, hey, listen, we should have called the dogs in. We should have done this. We should have done that. And I think the public will understand to a certain extent. It's okay to be pissed. But, hey, them people owned up to it. And we know if anything else happens, them feds, they're coming in, they're descending like locusts, and they're taking this shit over. And you ever see that guy in a video with the beard rubbing his hands together on that outside press conference? That's a bad dude right there. He's gang task force. He's a bad dude. He will kick people's asses. Yeah, honeybee, that would have to be, you're right. It would have to be some kind of control with the gun or some kind of like, hey, we're going to get you down there but it's just, man, there's so many things that could have happened. I wasn't even sure about the creek for a while. That private drive, in my opinion, if it's Allen, if it's everything that go downhill, the private drive was the way that he was going to do whatever he was going to do, whether he was going to try to assault him near the private drive or they had someone picking him up, or if he's by himself, another vehicle. But whatever the case was, the private drive, in my opinion, was involved in his initial plan. And when he got to where he got to, he took advantage of the bowl shape. I used to think that area was very prominent for him. I think the whole area is prominent, not that strip of land. But, if you look at it, and they did it, the lady did it, Shakespeare in her documentary, and I agree with her. She looked around, this is a stage. This is a stage. The killer wanted them to be discovered and wanted the people that saw them be discovered to have Pat Brown's response. Pat Brown, the resident, not the profiler, where he just would freak out anytime anyone talked about it. He'd run back in the room crying. Mike Patty, we found that he went over and talked to him. I need to know what you saw. I need to know what you saw. And he told him. And this guy, this is a big deer hunting, big, strong guy. And this scene broke him. It broke him. The police at the press conference that first day, when they say they were in Sugar Creek, Deer Creek, those 3 guys are broken individuals. You like them or not, their psyches are crushed, what they just saw. So no one was prepared to see anything like this. That's how I think this scene was just so beyond anything. Maybe it's best if this doesn't ever get out, if he does plead, if it's him, if he's the guy that did it. Because I think, man, for Pitch to sub the Honeybee. Yeah, Honeybee put some cool stuff up. A lot of good document stuff. Indie Pam. That's okay. Okay, Indie Pam. Now, I've heard that too from no one in specific. Again, I don't have no sources. But I heard from girlfriends or the lady that was taking care of him at the end. It was an ex-wife or ex-girlfriend. It wasn't Ashley Garth, right? Because she was locked up. And yeah, she was one of his ex-girlfriends. So you can go down that rabbit hole. I've been there. Said that he won't even go across it anymore. So I don't know. But if you're Ron Logan, why don't you say that in the TV interviews? You know, you're out there saying, down the hill, down the hill. Is that how Ron Logan really talked? Maybe it is. And then the people heard that. I heard that right away. And I'm like, well, either it's not him on a bridge or he's trying to talk like with this, to throw his voice off. So if that's really him, if he really talks like that all the time, to me, it's clearly not his voice. But was he trying to do something with his voice? So, Pam, I'm glad you're able to, you're not confirmed, but you're hearing the same thing as me. I think I agree with you on the ring. I don't think the ring had anything to do with the actual event, but I think it led him in there somehow. Does it make sense? That's just my thought and my theory, but I enjoy hearing everybody's thoughts and theories. I really, really do. Ooh. We'll talk on Discord, hybrid places. Yep. I ran him down too. Oh, Jinx, very good. I got one for me and Brooke, my girlfriend. We got fundraiser, pretty cool t-shirts for summer. Giving them a proper headstone. A proper headstone. Frosty and Indie Archives have some really good videos if you want to check them out of their, I'm not sure if it's Frosty or Indie Archive. Check them both out. Sub them both if you're not there. Gary, oh, gee, yeah. Well, hey, I'll tell you what. Anyone that says that still, I don't have anything that I could say, you're wrong, look at this. He's a suspicious character, isn't he? Yeah. He's yeah. A lot of the things in the theories, a lot of people are they're off the wall with their theory. They're passionate about this, and they think, yeah, maybe this happened, and we don't know because the information has been so held back for so long, and blah blah blah. Honeybee 149, but that just goes to show you that many of us have heard different times. I thought 149 was on the new one, but the FBI, go look at the Ron Logan search warrant about 1 o'clock. Well, it's like, can you not be troubled to see what fucking time they were actually there? Or did Kelsey tell you one? It doesn't say that. So it's odd. So did they not have the Hoosier Harvest Store video when they did that search warrant at Logan's? Did they have the Hoover Harvest Store video when they did all the other search warrants before Ron Logan? How did they not have it, right? You wouldn't think you'd go through. And I know that's 6 years ago, but even 6 years ago, even in my town, oh, who has video? Who has a ring or whatever? I'm going to answer a couple more questions here and get out of here because we're about an hour and 2 minutes. Yeah, I could see that. Good Old Boy Network. I think it was Skinner, not Dolan. I'm with Ruckus on that for reasons, for different reasons. But I think, I know that guy. He's a good old boy. He said he was there. You can rule him out. And it wasn't anything like he knew that he did it and he's in on it. But hey, yeah, I know this guy, he hunts down there, blah, blah, blah. He's just a witness. And everyone accepted it. Well, if the FBI was in there, they wouldn't accept it. We don't give a shit who you know. Who is this guy? What did he have on? Later. When did they find out what he had on? I'm not sure. I don't think he said that right away. Right? I don't think he said that till later, but I don't know. We don't really know what the narrative actually was. We saw some of it, but do we see all of it? Yeah, a lot of the same names keep coming up in a lot of the different things here. I think Reg would, and I think it was Honeybee that said it, was like the timeline, not necessarily for the death, but how everything led up to it. What time everyone was dropped off, like that. I believe that's what Honeybee was saying. I don't want to speak for her, but I think that's what she meant on that there. Yeah, and there was definitely some back and forth between Carroll County, Delphi, and the FBI, the state, whoever. I don't even know who was all on sides. Dave is here. Dave has a good channel. Go sub Dave. Jakes, I don't know if you have his thing you could pop up there. There's Frosty's. Yeah, Frosty's in Vegas, right? It's like 110 degrees. it's stupid hot. And if you've been to Vegas, Vegas is awesome. You just can't. It's dry heat, so it's not humid, but the sun hurts because it's so hot. You can only stand outside for a couple minutes. But a lot of stuff has tunnels. You don't even have to go outside. But you're in the desert. I agree with you, David Gray. I agree with you. And even if Flora, to me, man, I know everyone's on Delphi, but Flora is a much, much more deep motherfucker than Delphi is to us as citizens of Indiana, citizens of this country. You know, you can't quantify either murder. They're horrible. Loss of young life. But the handling of it, I'm not talking about public, no, hey, there's a reward. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like, there's some shit that went down in Florida, and I can tell you a lot of people need to be in jail after this, even if they didn't have anything to do with the actual arson or the murder of those girls, but the cover up and the things after. Oh yeah. I can't stress that enough. Yeah, if you have Dave's link, share it, Jinx. Dave's got a cool channel. Dave does a lot of late night stuff, so I have to watch his stuff. What's it called? What was your question? What's it called? What did I miss? Put up a response there. Big fish, small pond. I'm not sure if you were talking to me or not, but I'll help you out with your answer. Oh, my current comment first. What's going on here? Acting a little wonky, as they say. There we go. Tell me about it on Ruckus, or how do I hear your story about it? I'm not sure who you're responding to. I don't know if you're talking to me or not, Big Fish, or talking to someone else. If you are, I'm sorry. Try to get. Yeah, Meow's the one to go to. So much information on Flora, really, so much. She does a lot of other interesting information too, like on the currents of the creeks and things like stuff I'm into, because you want to take every little bit that you can. Thanks for all the links, Jinx. Great job. Hottie B. Stuff's popping up here. All right. There's Frosties. Does he hunt down there? I believe Richard Allen hunted down there and fished down there, yes. On that property. And he had I think he had permission from landowners down there. Let me just say that. That's a theory. That's conjecture. And that's a little bit of leakage from locals. But that's my opinion. I think that whole area of the trails was very important to the killer. I don't think it was this out-of-town trucker. I really don't. Yeah, there's a lot of the same people. They are, yeah. Yeah, go check old lives out that I have, or talk about Flora, Meow, Frosty, a lot of people. Yeah, we missed. I hope I didn't miss your question there, Big Fish. Maybe someone answered and I don't even notice. But I'm going to get ready to get out of here now. I thank all you for spending a few time with a few. That he would have a reason. Yeah. Well, the reason would be you're not going to hunt with that gun. You're going to hunt with a rifle. If that's what you're talking about. The bullet, was it found the same day or not? I don't know, right? It's weird. I don't know. But he wouldn't be hunting with a Sig Sauer. No, he wouldn't be. But I want to thank everybody for spending an hour with me today. I hope it's nice and hot where you are. I hope you have air conditioning or a pool. Don't leave your pets outside. I feel like Bob Barker. I'm getting spayed or neutered. But thank you, everybody. Thank you for making me think. You gave me some things today that I have to go back and look at. I hope you understand that my, forte into this is so heavily into the criminal mind angle, the profiling thing, it really intrigues me. It's just, I don't know. It helped me look inside myself, if that makes sense. I talked about that in my PTSD weed thing I did with the True Leave Weed Company. But yeah, so, but anyways, I hope everyone has a good day. I laid out my theories and things that I think are going to happen. And people are like, oh, you're really taking a step out. Well, yeah, but I'm a firefighter who's into like criminal profiling. I'm not John Douglas or one of these people that are, nationally that I'm going to be covered on it. But share my video, please. Like my video. I like to get into the algorithm just to be able to talk to and touch more people and get more more feedback. So the more feedback you give me, the better. Good, bad, or ugly. I don't care. I always like to hear it. And I thank Jinx, Honeybee, everyone else, all the mods, everyone for helping out, everyone for talking. And some of you I'll talk to in Discord, you crazy bastards. But I enjoy all of it. I enjoy everyone's talk and everyone's passion for justice. And that's what it's all about at the end. So, if you're a creator, and you're having friction with other people, man, go your own way, or maybe, hey, let's get this done. I hope to see more of that, because the creators are really doing good work here. And I think it's very important what we're doing. It's very important work. And it's more important what you guys are doing as subscribers and your questions. Because there's one of me and 30 of you, or there's one of you and 1,000, one of them and 1,000 subscribers. So, all right, I'm quit talking. I'm at minute 11. Thank you, everybody. We'll say it one more time, which I think is the CSAM tentacles. So drink up and have a good day. Coach Kev.